I wear the same stuff every day, pretty much. A t-shirt that's tucked in or shorter length, a pair of pants that sit at my waist, and then a shorter length top or jacket. I say mostly because I'm not quite as dedicated as some people out there who just stick to one t-shirt and one pair of pants. I have different coloured shirts and sweaters, and I have denim jeans and chinos. And of course there's variation with each season as well. But if you were to break down most of my outfits over the past year, you'd realise that at their core, they're pretty much all the same. So why do I do this and how? Well, thanks for asking. That's what I'm going to talk about in today's video. Let's start off with a few of the whys. Why do I mostly wear the same thing every single day? The way I see it, there's some huge benefits that I couldn't live without. The first thing is that there are fewer decisions to make. Quite simply, it's so much easier to know in advance what I'm going to be wearing each day. There's little to no standing around looking at all my clothes trying to decide what goes with what. I just stick to my go-to pieces each day and get on with it. I can be up, dressed and out the house within 10 minutes. I genuinely used to spend a lot of energy every night trying to decide what I was going to be wearing the next day. This might not be the case for everyone, but for me it was kind of stressful, especially if I found out that something I really wanted to wear was in the wash or something. Then I'd be scrambling to get it cleaned or stressing out thinking of what I could wear as an alternative. But now that all of my clothes are pretty much the same, it just makes every day that little bit easier and smoother. I know I'm going to be comfortable all day. Wearing the same stuff all the time is great because you know you're going to be comfortable. When you minimize your rotation of pieces, whether that be in an extreme way with just one pair of t-shirt and pants, or in the way that I do it, which is a little bit more relaxed, limiting myself to a few key pieces, it's great either way because if I'm limiting myself, I want to make sure every piece is comfortable. And that's exactly what I've done in my rotation. Every piece is comfortable, and so each day I know what's coming. And further to that point, when you start buying into certain types of fabric like loop wheel or raw denim, they get more comfortable over time. Because with every wear, they mold to your body a little bit more, just like a good pair of leather shoes which mold to the shape of your feet. The more you wear these kinds of items, the more comfortable they get, and I just love that. I can save up for grail pieces. Another reason I love wearing the same thing every day is because I can justify buying into better quality pieces. Since I only want a limited number of things in my core rotation, I don't mind spending a little bit more on stuff that I really want. The reason I like stuff these days is usually because it has really high quality craftsmanship or really unique materials. But these kinds of items are usually more expensive, and that makes sense because of the cost and work that goes into making them. If I had a huge rotation made up of hundreds of items, I couldn't afford to buy these kinds of pieces. And that's one of the things that used to push me into fast fashion, buying quantity over quality because I wanted one of everything. But now, having built my rotation around things that I really love, I don't get tired of them, I have a set of really well built pieces, and I feel great in them. So there's a few reasons why I choose to wear the same stuff every day. The next question is how? How can you make this work without it being boring and ensuring it's not just a phase and it's something that has longevity? Well, first up, you need to know your personal style. I've talked about finding your personal style a few times, but ultimately what it boils down to is recognizing what your tastes are and what you like in clothes and shoes, and then simply buying the things that fit into those preferences. I've done videos on how I found my personal style, and there's hundreds of videos out there as well, so I won't go into it too much today, but the information is out there. Just know that it isn't an overnight process, and in fact, it probably shouldn't be. It's a good thing that our tastes and preferences change. It's all about recognizing that and slowly adapting, and that includes the clothes and shoes we wear. But the beauty of knowing my personal style and buying things I like is that now all of my clothes are my favourite pieces. So every day I wear what I love and I just don't get bored of it, at least I haven't so far. Find your uniform. Now, very closely related to the last point, once you know your personal style, then you need to find your uniform. What I mean by this is styling those pieces you love in a way that's most comfortable to you. We all have preferences about how we like things to fit, whether that be slim or relaxed, and how we like to proportion our outfits, whether that be baggy, oversized tops or cropped pants. Having a uniform or set of uniforms is key to wearing the same stuff over and over again. They become your iconic looks, something you can always rely on and something people will recognize you for. One of the most well-known examples of this is of course Steve Jobs. He wore a black turtleneck tucked into blue jeans with a pair of grey trainers. Sure, it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but he loved it, he was comfortable in it, and he wore it almost every day. They just make him look really put together and ready to go. And this is how I feel in my uniform, which makes wearing the same thing every day really appealing. Purchase things that are functional. My next piece of advice for wearing the same thing every day is to make sure those things are functional. This has become a huge part of my thought process over recent years. I don't just want things that look good, I want things that are built for purpose. If I'm buying a pair of boots, I want to make sure they're well built, rugged, and useful for their main function, walking. I'm not wasting my time on a pair of boots that maybe look really nice and have a cool design, but are horrifically uncomfortable and have paper-thin soles that are going to get destroyed after a few wears. The same thing goes for tops and outerwear. Sure, I want them to look nice, but I want them to protect me against the elements as well. Having a wardrobe full of functional items makes it so easy to wear the same thing every day. I used to have like 15 to 20 pairs of shoes, but I didn't wear 75% of them because I was scared of getting them ruined. I now have like 5 pairs and they each have a purpose and I wear them without giving it a second thought. Plus, because they're part of my uniform, I know that everything's going to pair well together in a way that I like. It doesn't have to be boring. The last thing I want to mention is that this whole process doesn't have to be boring. A lot of people might think that wearing the same thing every day is an absolute nightmare, but it doesn't have to be as extreme as Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg. You can follow all the things that I've talked about in today's video if you want, and still have a lot of fun with it. Once you have a shape and proportions you like, you can and should totally switch it up and mix things up within that space. It doesn't just have to be a plain white t-shirt. Go with some colour or texture. Also, be sure to accessorize as well. It's surprising how much a simple necklace or baseball cap can add to your look. It can take a really basic outfit to another level. So I hope this hasn't come across as too dogmatic, because that's certainly not how I treat it in real life. I stick to the things in this video 90% of the time, but of course I go on a splurge every now and then and buy something completely unnecessary as well. We're not robots, we all have impulses. As I said earlier, our tastes are always evolving, so it's fine to lean into those changes and see if there's something new you might like. Hopefully there's something in this video that speaks to you, especially if you're feeling a bit disillusioned with your clothes at the moment. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ra.